Hi everyone, I'm Rudaiva Adni. Today I'm going to present our work on exploring how blind people use and understand generative AI tools. In this work, I collaborated with Moitai Das from Northeastern University. In late 2022, ChatGPT was launched to great fanfare. Since then, people have started using many generative AI tools, including ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot, Claude, and so on. In addition to these general purpose tools, developers have started incorporating generative AI to improve accessibility for blind people. For example, the visual assistant app Be My Eyes has added a new feature called Be My AI that describes images using GPT. Here is an example of how Be My AI describes the image on this slide. It says the picture shows a man walking in the park with a guide dog. The man is holding a white can in his left hand and the dog leash in his right hand. The dog appears to be a black Rottweiler with a red collar. The setting is peaceful and suggests a quiet and natural environment. On the surface, this is a pretty acceptable description, but the problem is that some parts of the description is inaccurate. For example, in the image, the person is holding the white can in their right hand and the leash in their left hand. But Be My AI flipped the items in its description. These kinds of inaccuracies or hallucinations are very common in generative AI tools. So researchers have started exploring how issues like hallucinations can limit reliability of these tools and lead to unsafe use. On top of that, given the complex and opaque nature of generative AI, non-expert users run the risk of developing erroneous mental models that are not consistent with the actual functionalities of these tools. Although the risk of generative AI applied to all users, the effect could be magnified for disabled people since an incorrect understanding of generative AI may amplify the accessibility challenges and abolish biases disabled people already encounter. While researchers have started investigating the experiences of disabled people with generative AI tools, there are still many questions around the perspective of blind people and how they use generative AI tools and make sense of their capabilities and limitations. To understand this, we conducted interviews and observations with 19 blind individuals who had experience using generative AI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, Claude, and BeamAI. Our analysis revealed five key aspects of how blind individuals use and make sense of these tools. In particular, we found how blind individuals adapt to accessibility issues in generative AI tools, leverage these tools for content creation and information retrieval, work through their inaccuracies and idiosyncrasies, and develop various mental models while paying attention to the biases and harms of these tools. For the sake of time, I will briefly touch upon three themes. Please read our paper to learn more about our findings. First, we found that widely adopted generative AI tools like ChatGPT did not follow established accessibility guidelines. For example, tools like ChatGPT often lack appropriate heading labels and landmarks, which makes it difficult for screen reader users to navigate around the interface. Some users tried to find workarounds, for example, pressing G key to move between prompts and responses since the avatars and icons were announced as graphic as shown on the screenshot on this slide. Our analysis also revealed that participants formed various mental models of generative AI based on their interaction with these tools, and often those mental models were flawed or oversimplified. For example, many participants felt that GenAI tools collect information from the internet using a search engine, or they run a keyword based search on a massive database that holds all information. Due to these mental models, participants had an inaccurate assumption that GenAI tools are good for gathering factual information. This became clear from Sarah's comment. She said, I look at it as the king of knowledge. So if ChatGPT does not know what to say, I'm just not gonna find what I am looking for because it ain't there. Despite well-known inaccuracies, many participants commented that they trust GenAI responses 99% or 99.999% of the time because they feel that GenAI responses are generally detailed and rich, and sometimes they also cite source information. Participants further added that they check for accuracy only if the response seems fishy or if they plan to use the information in financial, health related, or professional contexts. For instance, for the example image we showed earlier, three participants felt that Be My AI misinterpreted the breed of the dog, since Rottweilers are not generally used as guide dogs. One participant, Ethan, asked follow-up questions to Be My AI to perform deductive reasoning and check whether the responses are consistent across repeated tries. Initially, Be My AI asserted that it's confident the dog is Rottweiler. Then when Ethan asked it to prove that it's a guide dog be by AI, acknowledge that assumed it to be a guide dog because the man is also holding a white can. Now, what all these findings mean for our understanding of accessibility in generative AI? We identified four factors shaped blind users' decision behind when they would verify GenAI response or when they would forego fact checking. These factors include the context where they would use the information, if they will use it for high stakes situation or not, how easy it is for them to verify the information, and how believable the response sounds. The last factor about believability is critical because GenAI tools provide detailed information that sounds plausible, often with reference to source websites. So we need to enable seamless and accessible ways for blind users to verify information without much extra effort. Please read our paper for more insights. Thank you.